Good morning and welcome to In the Garden with Joyful Living. I am Kimberly Dixon. I was just sitting here enjoying the morning, enjoying it's covered up with the book now, but my cup of coffee. And I didn't really know what I was going to talk about this morning, but now I do know. So stay tuned. But while we wait for a few people to join us, let's take a look around the garden. Say good morning, Silas. That's my baby. He's not feeling good this morning. It's funny, but animals are just like people sometimes, and that they don't feel so good. He's thrown up a couple times this morning. But this plant that we look at right here, this is Jack. This is the beanstalk, and he's got beans on him. He also discovered a little surprise this week. I was looking out of the patio door, and I saw that was closed up at the time, and I was like, oh no, what is that on my plant? But it turns out when I was planting this, I must have dropped a morning glory seed in the pot because it has morning glories in it. But let's see, what else can we look at here? Good morning, Kenneth. We've got potatoes. That red potato is doing fantastic. I didn't know potatoes had any kind of buds on them, but they do. So most of you all know that most everything out here this year was an experiment for me, because traditionally I've had a patio garden with just tomatoes and maybe a zucchini. So I've been as surprised as many as you about the things that are going on. I'm blocking the light. That is the jalapeno peppers. Doesn't that look fantastic? The banana peppers look great. And this is hot cayenne pepper, red pepper. Cucumbers. Cucumbers are doing well. With those peppers, I'm going to make refrigerator pickled peppers, where you just, not the old canning process, but because I enjoy jalapenos and chilies and soups and things of that nature, so that'll really come in handy. Cucumbers doing well. I have a lot of people that inbox me and text me about their garden, so I want to show you what happens when something isn't pollinated fully. A lot of times it will die on the vine and not do anything, but this is an example of incomplete pollination. But you will also have instances where it will continue to grow and it will taste the same, but it will be misshapen, because this type of cucumber should be much thicker than this and not so long. But guess what? I'm going to eat it anyway. Squash is still doing well. I got some little baby squashes coming in. The small pickling cucumbers are doing fantastic. Sweet potatoes. Good morning, Deb. Sweet potato slips are doing well, but that's another sweet potato right there. It's they were planted at the same time, but that one is much further along than the other one. But I'm pleased with the progress of both of them. Zucchini. I love zucchini, y'all. And those two I'm probably going to pick tomorrow. And that one is just starting to get its first fruit. So I like to plant things in succession because everything won't be coming in at the same time. So I have a continuous supply of fresh produce. So I've been gardening for a while now, and I plant herbs every year. That's my cilantro. It's called confetti cilantro. And I couldn't understand why every year, no matter what I did, I killed my cilantro. And as you can see, it's dying now. Turns out, because I finally decided to go do some research on it, once you harvest cilantro one time, it dies off. So I'm pleased to announce it wasn't me. It's just what the plant does. So my cilantro is done for the season. I'll probably buy me another one because I like fresh cilantro, and then do a big harvest of it and try to dry it. But you know that I didn't go through everything because there's a lot of stuff out here, but I like to show some of the things that I have and what's going on with them, because again, I have a lot of people that contact me about gardening and about gardening tips. So I like to, as I learn, I like to share things with you all. But I wanted to talk to you for just, good morning, Robin, for just a minute about being intentional. And we talk about intentionality a lot, especially in the coaching world. And this morning I was going to talk about, being intentional with your self-care. And I was like, nah, talk about that all the time. I don't want to talk about that. But then last night, excuse me, I had an in-depth conversation with a friend through Messenger about rest. And then this morning in my morning devotional, today's devotional was about rest. So that was my confirmation that we needed to have this conversation again about being intentional about taking care of you. Right now, the world we live in, stress levels are at an all-time high. We've got all this, the civil unrest, rightfully so. I am for it. It's time for some things to change. But then we also have, with the civil unrest, people have forgotten that we are in the middle of a pandemic. Nothing about COVID-19 has gone away. It has not changed. It is still here. And people are stressed. People's loved ones are dying. Entire families have been decimated. Mothers and fathers, siblings, and out of the same family, here one day and gone the next. So people are stressed in a way that we have never been. And oftentimes, this is a time when we need the most self-care, but we get the least self-care. So we have to be really intentional. And when I say intentional, I wish I had brought it out here so I could show you. But I have a daily planner that I use by Cynthia White. It's the Rest and Restore Planner. Great planner. But I intentionally write things to take a break from my work, to make sure that I go to bed at a decent hour, because those things have a cumulative effect. Good morning, Tanya, that's my cousin, love you, baby. When we don't intentionally plan our self-care, then we look up and we are fatigued, we are exhausted, we are burned out, we are overwhelmed. And when we are under high stress situations like that, we make mistakes. We lose our temper. We become enraged quicker. Because this is the thing people don't realize about sleep. Sleep is not just about going to bed and closing your eyes. Good morning, Judy. It is so much deeper than that. Sleep is a time for the body to restore itself, for your cells to regenerate and to renew, and to so that your body during the day can function at its best. But if you're not getting enough sleep on a consistent basis, it has a cumulative effect. And research shows that when we are not getting enough rest, it can lead to heart issues. It can lead to diabetes, issues with diabetes. It can increase your blood pressure. All of that is related to sleep, because guess what? If you're not getting enough sleep at night, then your cardiovascular system, your brain, your nervous system, your digestive system, it's not getting an opportunity to rejuvenate and renew itself. Thank you for sharing, Tanya. Please share the video, because this is important information. We don't think about it, especially if we're entrepreneurs and we're trying to get a business or a nonprofit up and running. Well, I've heard people say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Well, odds are you're going to experience that much sooner than you anticipated, because sleep is a vital part of our life. It is important for stress reduction, and it gives our body that opportunity to rest and rejuvenate itself. Because although you may be able to function off of 3 or 4 or 5 hours worth of sleep, your body needs more than that just so it can rejuvenate itself. So we want to make sure that we're getting enough rest during this time. Even if you're not actually sleeping, you can still do things to rest. Take 5, 10, 15 minutes to just close your eyes and breathe deeply. If you know how to meditate and you enjoy meditation, do meditation. But if you don't, good morning, Gwen, good morning, Freddie, make sure you schedule those times in the course of your day to rest. Even if you say, I'm fine, I don't need it, we are all I don't care if you black, white, or purple. We are experiencing stress levels that we have never experienced now. So you have got to be intentional about taking care of you, especially if you already have a pre-existing condition like high blood pressure or diabetes. All of that stuff is exacerbated by stress. So we want to make sure that we're taking time to rest, to rejuvenate ourselves. A good way to do that is by just having a cup of tea, by spending time in nature. Guys, you've heard me talk about time and time again, whether I was outside exercising or outside sitting in my garden. This is part of my stress reduction because I know that nature calms me. It is healing and the fresh air is good for you. But I also know that depression, my family has a predisposition to depression. But I know if I spend the time outdoors, I'm getting vitamin D from the sun, I'm resting, I'm rejuvenating myself so that I don't become so burned out and overwhelmed. And another thing we have to be cognizant of, we have to learn to listen to our bodies. We have to know our warning signs. And a couple of years ago, when, as you all know, I'm in business, Joyful Living with Kimberly Dixon. I keep my house, clean. But I looked up one day and it was just chaos. It wasn't dirty. I wash my dishes and stuff of that nature every day. But it was stuff everywhere. And in that moment, I realized, good morning, Amy, that's what overwhelm looks like to me. So we have to learn what overwhelm looks like for ourselves. What do our behaviors look like when we are stressed? Because if we can recognize those signs, then we won't get to the point where we wake up one morning and we can't get out of bed. And I'm going to be honest with you, all of us would like to think that's never going to happen to me. But it happens every day to people all over the world. You get up one day, you wake up one morning, and you literally cannot get out of bed. That's either signs of overwhelm and fatigue or depression. So we have got to be intentional about the way we take care of ourselves, especially during this season of COVID-19 and civil unrest. So in addition to that, we want to make sure that, God, y'all, I forgot what I was going to say. I mean, completely. I'm going to be honest with you. A big gust of wind came through and my cucumber plant leaned over and I was like thinking don't break. But just continue to be cognizant of your warning signs. Oh, I remember where I was about to go with that. And this is really important. So please listen up. So we just saw recently one of the writers from, I think it was This Is Us, committed suicide. Some of you know and some of you don't know that one of my first cousins committed suicide in April. That was the first time anything of that nature had ever happened in my family. I've known someone to commit suicide before. But pay attention to the warning signs in your own life. We have to make sure that we are doing those things to restore ourselves, to keep things in balance. Because when we think it won't happen to me, I got this, I'm superwoman, I'm superman, whatever your thought process may be, we have got to learn how to take better care of ourselves. We've got to learn the warning signs so that we know when we are slipping into depression, so that we know when we are having suicidal thoughts. So good morning, Donna. So that we know when we need some assistance. All of us need some help sometimes. Even when this pandemic first started, and I talked about this a few weeks ago, after 2 weeks, I just began to feel this crushing loneliness because I'm single and I live alone and I wasn't going out. I wasn't doing any speaking engagements. But I made sure that I connected with people so that I wasn't feeling so alone. It can happen to any of us. So we have to be intentional. So during that time, I threw myself into my gardening because I know that I love it. I know I enjoy being outside. And that has been one of my saving graces during the pandemic and with the civil unrest, because I come out here and I breathe and I can allow some of the weight of the world to roll off of me. Be intentional about your self-care. And, even with, I don't even know if spas and things of that nature are back open yet. I just know I'm not going to one yet. But people are afraid, or they don't know how to say that they're not okay. That's a problem. That is a problem. So, Tanya, just this week, especially with some of my single friends, because I've seen people do a post on Facebook where they say, are my single friends okay? And then you see 50 comments and everybody say, yeah, I'm good. And as I read that, I was like, somebody's not telling the truth, or they're not commenting at all. So this week I did something old school. I actually called people. Didn't text them. I called them, because I can hear things in your voice that will never come through on social media, that will never come through in a text. So it's important sometimes that we connect with people on a deeper level, and not just, I text them, they said they were okay. As a matter of fact, my cousin, the day that he killed himself, he sent a text saying that I love you to all of his family and friends. They didn't think anything about it. We've got to be more intentional about our self-care, getting the proper rest, learning how our warning signs when we are overwhelmed, depressed, or needing assistance, because it's okay to ask for some help sometimes. Whether that be through getting help from a counselor, a life coach, a spiritual advisor. We need help. All of us do. So don't be ashamed to ask for it. Find that person that you are comfortable talking to them, and tell the truth. Gosh, we have become so accustomed to just putting on this mask and going through everyday life like everything is fine when we're not okay. But I'm saying all of this to say this morning, take care of yourself, get some rest, get some sleep, be intentional about taking care of you, but also be intentional about asking for help when we need it. I need help sometimes. You need help sometimes. It's called being human. It's a human condition. None of us were created as bionic men and women. As a matter of fact, I truly believe God put us all here so that we can just help each other along our journey. Because what's the point in us being here if we don't need each other? We need people. So guys, thank you for tuning in to In the Garden with Joyful Living this morning. I was just looking around to see if it was any other plant that I wanted to show you this morning, but I think I got all of them in. So I hope this brought some value to you. I wasn't going to talk about self-care and rest and stuff this morning, but the signs was everywhere. Between the conversation with my friend last night about crashing, just working so hard that he crashed and can't get out of bed in a day. That's too much. That's too much. And only sleeping a few hours every night. And then this morning, my devotional was about rest. So I know somebody needed to hear this. And my whole thing as a life coach, as a speaker, has never been about crowds. It's never been about numbers. It's about impacting. If I can impact one person, and if I can change the course of one person's day, then I've done what I was supposed to. And because of all of the writing on the wall, I knew somebody needed to hear this message today about taking care of yourself during this season, about getting your proper rest. So guys, thank you for watching In the Garden with Joyful Living. Please share the video with someone that needs it, someone who is single, or just having a hard time right now, whether that be because of finances or whatever the reason. Share the video with them just to let them know that they are not in this thing alone. It's a human condition. Yes, Tanya. Guys, thank you for watching. I love you so much. Bye-bye.